Hello and welcome to the heliosblog. My name is Helios. Today we're going to talk about how women perceive three genders, not two. Men think of the world as having two genders, male and female. Women do not see the world this way. Instead, women see the world as comprising of three genders. Depending on the gender that you are treated differently. Most men have no idea that women think this way. They feel that they're on an even playing field with other men. The world turns out to be much more insidious than that. Enjoying my content? Check out my blog at heliosblog.com. On YouTube, you can support me by liking and subscribing. I'm also on Spotify if you'd prefer a podcast. If you're interested in my books, The Strategist Guide to Seduction and Quotes to Live By, they're available on Amazon. In addition, you can follow me on Patreon at theheliosblog for exclusive content. On with the show. What are the three genders? To women, there are three genders in order of importance: female, male, and slave. Each gender has certain things that they're entitled to. Women, being the highest and most important, are entitled to almost everything. Here's a list of entitlements that women receive as the most important gender. Number 1, the near ubiquitous protection of the government. Number 2, favorable treatment in courts, including family courts. Number 3, the upper hand in relationships. Number 4, control of reproduction. Number 5, better access to education. Number 6, better workplace protections. Men, being the second most important, receive entitlements as well. Here's a list. Number 1, sex. Number 2, respect. Number 3, submission in bed. Number 4, genuine attraction and love from women. As for the slave gender, they receive nothing, no entitlements. They exist for the sole purpose of providing the entitlements that women need in order to live a comfortable life. They are seen as reproductively invisible. Most men, what a man would think of as men, are not actually men to women, but slaves. How are the genders determined? The female gender is determined by birth. The other two genders are determined by behavior. Our matriarchy has determined that every non-female should be raised as a slave, and the determination of who is male is made after, through behavior. Every non-female is assumed to be and treated as a slave until they prove otherwise. Tests needed to be devised in order for males to be determined out of the populace of slaves. Thus, the shit test was born. Hypergamous doubt. Since hypergamy wants only the best, and the best is in constant flux, tests were made to determine maleness. Shit tests, therefore, are ubiquitous. All males are constantly tested to determine if they're truly males or if they were secretly a slave all along. Most men fail these regular tests. This is why you see strong alpha males in marriages eventually become betaized. To women, this demonstrates that they were never a man at all, but a slave the whole time who was pretending to be a male. A male would never bow to constant testing. The best way to perform constant behavior testing. Since behavior testing needed to happen for women, relationship styles had to be developed that would facilitate this. Thus, the monogamous relationship was born. In a monogamous arrangement, the man had to shift his focus from multiple women to just one. As a result, his sex drive could be carefully controlled and managed by one female. She could then perform constant testing to determine if he was truly a man or if he was a slave the whole time. More than 95% of men in these arrangements turn out to have been slaves the whole time. Since the man was a slave the whole time, the woman who was carefully managing him could throw him away in disgust. He was never a man and was unworthy to reproduce. Why the fuck did I do it with him? This is the common feeling many women experience in monogamous relationships. Reproduction versus provision. Only men are worthy of reproduction. Slaves get nothing. All that slaves are good for is resource generation. I hope you can see now why women stop giving sex to men in long-term monogamous arrangements. Under rigorous testing, the man turned out to be entirely unworthy of reproduction, a slave. The woman's hypergamous nature became dissatisfied with the sexual choice and now seeks a better one. Her nature, however, has no problem with taking the resources of a slave. He is unworthy of anything else, after all. That the slave tries to convince the woman that he should be worthy of reproduction means nothing to her. She knows he's unworthy and therefore undeserving. Natural selection and selective pressure. As has been previously discussed in past posts, women are the natural selectors of the human race. They purposely raise non-women to be good slaves and look for actual males in the pool through tests. The biological selective pressure on men is provided by the matriarchy. Non-females are sociologically conditioned to be slaves, and only those non-females who fight against their mental shackles become worthy of reproduction. This worthiness lasts until the determination that they were actually a slave all along, at which point the sex disappears. This explains why it's much easier to sleep with a new woman than one that has known you a long time, especially for less experienced seducers. A woman that has known you a long time has had lots of time to make hypergamous tests. She is more likely as a result to determine any man to be unworthy. Again, as previously stated, women look to disqualify. Once a man has been disqualified, he is a slave in her eyes. True love is only given to one of the two male genders. Most men have never experienced true love and admiration from a woman. This is because most men are not men, but slaves. Slaves are unworthy of true love or respect. Only the real men, those that have resisted the cultural slavery that women have created to force a natural selection, deserve love and sex. The rest get to be husked like corn. Which one do you want to be? Ultimately, you're going to have to choose which of the two genders you want to be. If you want to be a slave, that is your prerogative. You will suffer and be used as a slave. You'll also be praised for doing the right thing. The definition of doing the right thing is fostering the beautiful, comfortable life that the matriarchy gets to live as a result of your sacrifice. Men will receive love, adoration, sex, and reproduction. Slaves get nothing. Remember that. Conclusion. Women don't see two genders but three. Women, men, and slaves. Only two of the three genders are entitled to anything, men and women. Women have created a cultural environment of slavery in order to foster natural selection. This natural selection leads to the creation of better and better men. Your goal in life should be to break free of the slavery placed upon you from birth and take your place as one of us, a free man. Be strong.